Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. It is Monday night, it's 7:30. We're live. If you're watching this live, of course, you can get your views, you can get your comments in. If you're watching this on playback, we are going to be looking back at that last pre-season game against Sevilla yesterday, where Leicester won 1-0. Lots of rumours going around as well at the moment. And to be fair, I want your views and your comments on those rumours, because if you ask me, they're all the wrong sorts of rumours about who is going, who is coming. Where are we going to end up this season? We'll perhaps tippy-toe around that as well whilst we're looking back at yesterday's game. Ricardo Pereira out. What was good? What was bad? What are you looking forward to? What you're not looking forward to? I'm going to be joined by Tom. Get your views in, get your comments in live if you are with us.
Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. Are you ready for the show? Thanks to our sponsors, ADT Taxis, Everards, Pukka Pies, Pink Car Leasing, Leicester Riders, Hollogram, The Fox's Arms, Peter's Pizzeria, Hope Against Cancer, and Newby Co estate agents. We want your views, we want your comments, so join us live. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes, indeed. Welcome to our first, well, it feels like the season's about to start. We are under, what is it, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 6 sleeps till it all starts. Good evening. Karen is watching. Get your views in, Karen. Are you excited for the new season? What did you make to yesterday's game against Seville? Dave, good evening to you. Phil, hey, up the city, Phil says. Yes, I'm with you on there. Ricardo is looking like an injury-prone player. Good job he signed his new contract. 5-year contract, Dale. It just doesn't seem like it's going to work out for him, does he? I don't want to be too harsh on the whole situation with Ricky P, but just get the feeling he just can't string enough games together. The councillor, good evening, sir, is watching. He says, well, what a few days coming up. I'm very nervous, sir, about what is going to happen. All the rumours I'm seeing, check them now. I know there are rumours. Fofana, new bids coming in. Matters, new bids coming in. Casper, as LCFC Grey saying here, Casper is having a medical. He is definitely leaving. Brendan Rodgers pretty much alluded to that. Good evening, Wayne. Good evening, Andy. Gav. Good evening, Maz. Good evening. Mark says a top signing would be good. The only team not to sign. Slightly worrying, if I'm honest. Mark, I've got to agree with you. Come on. Every team signed a player. You always do. It's not rocket science. You have to sign some new players if you want to improve, don't you? Dean says, good evening. According to Sky Sports News, we are selling Fofana, Maddison and Tielemans. That's now, you see, Dean's put a cryy, laughy emoji face, which in my books means he doesn't believe it. Dean, I've got to be honest, I think at least one or two of those three will be gone. I really do. Dave Hill, I can't put that comment on the screen because you put a bit of a swear in it, but I'm a bit like you. I am very worried. Rob says here, everyone evening, is the Casper deal done? €1 million we're hearing for Casper Schmeichel. €1 million for what a top class player. It's not enough, is it? Listen, I'm joined here with Tom. Good evening, Tom. How are you?
Good, thanks, Phil. Evening, everyone.
Tom, we're here to look back at Seville yesterday, the 1-0 win, which was a decent win against a decent side. Who did, obviously, they lost 6-0 to Arsenal on Saturday, different side. I'm not sure if we played the stronger or the weaker side. I slightly think we played the weaker side, if I'm honest.
Look, you only play and win what's in front of you. I generally thought the link of play was better. Look, I look at it in two ways. This time last year, I was more worried about how our performance levels were, where the fitness levels are, our passing ability, than I am this pre-season. I think this pre-season been good. I think we look more sharper. We're moving the ball quicker than we did last year. We've set ourselves up differently. People aren't seeing it as much, but if you listen to Brendan Rodgers tonight on BBC Radio Leicester, the Football Forum, what a cracking interview by Owen Parton-Atkin, by the way. Amazing interview. If you haven't listened, get on BBC Radio Sounds and have a listen to it. Rodgers very open and honest about everything from transfers and to his new tactics as well, and how he's setting the team up. And I saw that pressing away with the reverting fullbacks, pulling into the middle of the park, still doing the defensive role, but meaning Tielemans and Maddison, Jude Hall could push higher up the pitch to assist the attacking options and get the ball forward quicker. I'm more pleased where we were this year than we are last year, from what you're going into the season.
You're more positive this year than last year?
But in performance levels, mate, going into the season, as in how the team are performing, how sharp they look. I was concerned after going to Wickham last year and sitting in there and watching us lose to Wickham 1-0. Now, the result didn't bother me. It was the performance level that bothered me. It was the slowness to the ball. No one looked sharp. People looked way off to the pace. And that was after 2 weeks or 3 weeks of training before that Wickham game. Where this time around, I've been to, Preston. I'd seen every single game live pre-season. And as soon as from the Notts County game, we looked sharper. Even the result of Notts County, we still looked sharper. Going into the next game, the Hull City game, we looked sharper. Each game we played, we'd look sharper as a team. I felt last pre-season we didn't have any of that sharpness, and I think you could tell that at the beginning of the season. If we look at some of the results, they were all 1-0s or there were little defeats, but we didn't look sharp as a team. And go back to the opening game of last season against Wolves, where we should have lost. If Traore's, has his shooting boots on or could shoot and score goals, by half time we would have been 3-0 down or 3-1 down because Vardy had scored. The game would have been dead and buried. This year, I feel we are more sharper going into the season, if you get what I mean.
A lot of chit chat about Casper, even more coming out today. 1 million euros we're hearing. And also, I mean, he was not in the first half of yesterday's game, Tom. What's your take on Kasper Schmeichel?
Up to the game kicking off, I was a bit like, just giving Everson another 45 minutes. But I think after the game, Owen got the update or released his version of the story finally. He couldn't release it, I don't think, till after the game, that Kasper had been agreed that he probably could leave. It was down to Kasper's decision and the club would back him. And look, a lot of people say 1 million euros. He's 35. He's got 1 year left on his contract. It's one of those. I think you take the money, you say thank you so much to a club legend. The legend gets usually too much, but for me, he is a goat of the goalkeeping world, a goat for the football club, as Vardy will be when he goes. And we move on. Obviously, Brendan feels he has enough goalkeeping quality, and Danny Ward and Everson to fight out for the number 1 shirt. If he didn't, I don't think he would let Kasper go. But I think we saw the back end of the season with Danny Ward getting those couple of games against Watford. I think was the game he played. He was meant to play against Norwich but didn't. That he was already being eyed up for that number 1 shirt. I think Danny Ward probably will be the one who gets the number 1 shirt when he's fit. The concern is we're going into the season, he's not fit. So Kasper leaves, that means that Everson will start as number 1 and Sleckenvecchia, whatever his name is, the other goalkeeper, the young lad, will probably be the backup goalkeeper at the beginning of the season.
Tom, Ben says here, and I do absolutely agree with Ben here, he says Everson and Ward to replace Kasper is a massive drop in standards.
Massively.
If you said you've taken Kasper Schmeichel and he's going to leave us and you're going to replace him with the guy who's played at Preston for 2 years, or the guy who sat on the bench for 10 years.
And only had 1 full season when he was on loan at Huddersfield and got him promoted. That was his highlights of his career so far. The rest of the time he's been on the bench at Anfield or the bench at Leicester and barely kicked a football. He's, let's not get wrong here. He's a massive down, step sideways for me and a step backwards having those in goal. They can do a job, but they're not Kasper Schmeichel. They're not even near Kasper Schmeichel's ability as a goalkeeper. And people say Kasper's on the decline. I still think he's kept it in enough games over the last 2 years and then cost us games, if we're honest about it. The corner thing people try and blame him for, well, I'm not going to blame it all on him. I think the whole team was to blame for the corners last year in different areas of the pitch.
Did you see just on the corners today? Sorry, Tom, to butt in. Did you see again? Owen did a great interview on the Football Forum on BBC Radio Leicester. Part of it was Brendan Rodgers, I think, admitting that they've brought in a set piece specialist to help on the defence, but due to his visa issues, he's not at the club yet. I mean, come on, Tom. Yeah. People are accusing me of being negative, Tom, but where do you want me to start? We might be losing players in the week leading up, and you've apparently the guy brought in to sort out set pieces isn't at the club. The guy brought in to bring in new transfers from Southampton isn't at the club. Come on.
The first one, strange one. If they knew they were going to bring this set piece coach in from abroad or a foreign coach to work on the set pieces, you would think that would have been sorted out way before pre-season was even getting underway. Because we knew it was a weak link, but to hear that he's still 2 or 3 weeks away because of a visa, is a bit disheartening that the club hasn't got that sorted yet, if I'm honest with you. And that's down to Rudkin and the powers that be to sort the papers out. As for the second one, it was a strange one for me. You were appointing a top scout or a chief scout or director of football, whatever we're going to call him, who was still employed by Southampton, and Southampton made it quite clear that, yeah, you can have him. He can come to you, but he ain't coming to you after the season finished.
Yes.
Well, that puts us on the back burner, because I always say that person who is in charge of your scouting network or your recruiting side of it is crucial, because he's the person who goes to find out those little gems when you've got to sell a player and you've got, well, we've got to bring someone in. And he goes, Brendan, I've got the player for you. He's going to have the link. He's going to have the contact to go and sign. Maybe not a top player, but he might have the look. We haven't got the money for him, but I've got a little gem playing in France or a little gem playing in Spain, or the 2 or 3 players I've spotted in the Championship who could do the job or be around the team who could come improve it. But without that player, you're literally leaving the scouting network to what scouts are already out there now, who are literally just going to watch players play and give reports. And Brendan basically having his network. What, as a manager, is always going to be who you played with or managed beforehand, because those players as easy as bringing them into the squad, because you know who they are, their personalities. So for me, yeah, massive blow not to have a chief scout in and around that team at the moment. And I think that's part of the reasons it's affected our transfer window so far.
The councillor says here, spot on, Phil. Can't understand the optimism and those supporting the way things have been done. We are an established Premier League side. Tom, we're looking back at the Seville game. There's so much to talk about today. We could probably go on for an hour tonight, but we'll try and keep it to the point. Ricardo Pereira yesterday obviously picked up an injury. Just feels like Ricardo, I don't know, just doesn't feel like he can quite get a run of games together for him at the moment.
Before we got that nasty injury, the ACL, what was it? He was probably the best right back in the league. Let's not kid about it. His performances were above Trent Alexander, who was tipped to be, another world beater. He was flying. He got that injury against Aston Villa. I think Grealish took him out. And he's never been the same player since. He reminds me of someone, Phil will remember the name, Darren Eadie, another winger or, a quick player who never recovered from a nasty injury at the club and was just in and out of the squad every single month. He'd have a little niggle injury. It feels very similar. And at the time, the club, when you saw Ricardo sign a new deal, I was like, brilliant. Putting him down for 2 years. Brilliant. Hopefully, we can get him fit, give the option third. When I read the club had given him a 5-year contract, I was absolutely mortified we'd done that, on the basis that he's not been fit for 2.5 years. He's been in and out of the squad. He's had serious injuries of broken ankles or broken bones in his foot last season against Liverpool in the Cup, and he hadn't came back fit. He'd been in and out. He'd looked the sharpest we'd seen him. I agree with Rodgers through pre-season. Preston away, I was like, bloody hell, Ricardo is back. The Ricardo we know, bombing up the channel, making tackles, getting in and out, brilliant. And then yesterday, it wasn't even a tackle. The ball rolled to him, and he literally went to step and went, I've done something. And he knew straight away that he had done something. But it goes back to the point I said on Twitter last night. Why give a player a 5-year contract who's had so many injuries after a big injury? It tells me the club was panicking in some ways coming into this summer transfer window, thinking we need to time down. We don't want another player on a 2-year contract. Let's hit the stands. Oh, well, JJ signed a contract, Ricardo signed a contract, Barnes is signing contracts. We're keeping all the core of the players here. But now we're back to square one. Now, luckily, we're well covered in that department. With Cassagna can play right back, JJ can play right back. You got Luke Thomas left back, JJ can play left back. And wherever Ryan Bertram's sitting on his sunbed having his holiday can play left back if we have to go that deep into it. So we are well covered there. He's just picking up his retirement from the Montreal now. But yeah, it's a strange one for me that we gave him a 5-year contract after so many injuries.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So many comments coming in here. The councillor says, gutted for Ricky P.
Oh.
He will come good. We all wish him well, honestly, we do. It just feels like he can't quite get in there. Andy says he thought Dennis Pratt had another good game. Tom, I am worried.
I'm not. I'm generally not worried. I'm generally going the season full of optimism. I'm looking at this whole transfer window scenario, series, and thinking if teams are that serious about signing our players, they go and sign them. They put the money where their mouths are and go and sign. They know we're not going to push it around. Newcastle, 45 million. Rodgers said it. That way he can get you a third of his left leg. They come back with, well, say 40 million. They've come back with a 50 million bid. So that's, maybe a leg.
Yeah, but Tom, doesn't that? Yeah, but Tom,
Newcastle aren't serious, mate. They're trying to upset players. Reading before we came on, it's quite clear by the sound of reports now saying Maddison is not bothered about going to Newcastle. That he's quite happy with what he's doing. I honestly believe that he will sign a new contract. I generally believe it. I feel that he knows where his bread and butter is. He knows the club stuck with him when things weren't going right. The fans stuck with him when things aren't going right. And I think he will stay. I generally do. Same with Fofana. The only one who could leave this football club, and we've not had any bids in for him yet, what surprises me, is Yuri Tillemans. And he could go for a cut price of 25, 30 million because the club knows they'll lose him next year for nothing. But like I say, for me, Chelsea are not going to come in with a £90 million bid for Fofana. They're just not, mate. No one's got that kind of money laying around to keep putting these big bids in. They've already signed Sterling for 70 odd million this window. Talking about signing the Brighton left back for 50 odd million. That they ain't got much more money to chuck around before they'll be breaking financial fair play rules, mate. It's all of the smoke screen to try and upset the Leicester bandwagon and the cart for me. I believe it, really believe it, mate. And for me, if we don't sign a player, and I've said it now, if we don't sign a player, and for me, only lose Tillemans and maybe a centre half, I'm still happy with what we got because there's enough quality in that team to do a good job and get us in that top 8 for me. I still believe that top 8, top 7 is a possibility with that squad of players.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I am nervous.
There's no bricks into glasses. I'm straight down the line with my.
I know you are, Tom. And I'm optimistic. I always start the season optimistic. Joanna's just said she's just put on her usual top 4 bet for Leicester, which and Callum says it don't need to be worried. Why are you worried, Phil? I don't understand. Tom, I'm going to tell Callum, I'm going to tell you why I am worried. Okay, Casper really looks like he is going to go this week. So 5 or 6 days before the Premier League season starts, we've lost the best keeper in the club, probably the best leader in the club, the captain of the club. Spoke with Birchie last Thursday, name dropping a bit, but spoke with Birchie, and he said massive loss if he goes, but not on the pitch but behind the scenes and in the training rooms. If Casper goes with 5 or 6 days to go, I don't think we've got a keeper in place. Now, the next thing, Wes Fofana, they are making bids. These are real bids that have come in, apparently. So that's a real bid. So they could go higher. I think I wouldn't. You, Tom, if I said to you, put your mortgage on Wes Fofana being a Leicester player by the close of the transfer window, you would certainly not do that. And I don't know if you'd put 50 quid on it.
I'd put 50 quid on that.
You'd put 50 quid on it.
I'm confident that Wes will still be in that shirt at the end of the month.
Maybe, but it's going to upset. It's going to upset him that one of the big clubs in Europe is potentially offering him. And also, by the way, PSG and Barca are rumoured to be after Wes as well. So Chelsea might not have the funds, but PSG probably would. So that's another little reason.
Barca haven't. Barca's got no money.
Maddison, again, is a real offer of 40 and 45 and then 50 million. That's a real offer. How much more do they have to go? Would 55 get him? Would 60 get him?
Mate, you've got to look at his stats.
Well, you got to look at Tom. You got to look at what's in his contract, Tom. I wouldn't be surprised if Maddison had a release clause of 60 million on him.
No, see, I don't think there is a release clause. I think if there was a release clause, the club would know what it is and they'd just pay it. I generally thought that Newcastle got. That's what I'm just going to say. If Newcastle knew the release clause, or the club went, if you pay the release clause, go. Newcastle ain't going to muck around. They just pay the release clause because they don't want to waste the time. They'll want him training with their team if they're going to sign him. I look at Maddison. I just look at Fofana. Fofana mainly, he's just signed a 5-year contract in March. He knows the club helped him back from a big injury. Again, listen to Football Forward tonight. Rodgers has spoken that he's more than happy being here. He's more than happy, wants to progress with his club for the time being and wants to, repay them more than anything. The Madders one, mate, like I say, I generally, if you've got to look at the stats, Jack Grealish went for 100 million last year. He only got 6 goals or assists in the total for Manchester City last year, or something silly. The numbers were awful. We're talking about a player got 18 combined goals and assists. Was it 18 or 20, something like that? Goals and assists in one season. And I wouldn't say full season. It was 3/4 of the season. It came from October onwards. He's got to be worth more than Jack Grealish. We're talking about a player who went from Aston Villa to Man City for 100 million and has done nothing at Manchester City, really, to offer them anything structure-wise or goals and assists compared to what they had. And then you look at what Maddison would be giving Newcastle. It's got to be in the same ballpark, 90 to 100 million. That's the way it is football now. You've got to be looking at the same thing. Was it 18 goals and 12 assists? Thank you, William. That says it all for me. It's got to be in the ballpark and up there for Grealish for me. Newcastle haven't got that kind of money, mate. And like I said the other day, when someone says they've got it, they haven't got it. Financial fair play will restrict them from signing players. That's why, if you look at the players they've signed, they've all been 13, 20 million, because they can't go over 200 million in 3 seasons. 3 seasons, they can't go over 200 million. It's what was agreed in the Premier League when they sat down and looked at the figures and went, okay, you can have these as your new owners and blah, 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 but you are going to be restricted to 200 million for the first 3 years due to your sponsorship deals are fine, but you can't have money just pumped in by the owners to buy new players. We're not going to do that, and that doesn't work the financial fair play. So they are restricted to what they can do. Everyone thinks they've got loads of money. They can have loads of money. Chelsea's new owner can have loads of money, but they have to be within the financial fair plays. And the financial fair plays is what is coming into your football club from your sponsorship deals, not just what the owner can pump in, because the owners can't just pump in and buy players.
Yeah, Tom, I'm so with you. I really hope they don't go. I'm just saying we're 6 days away, and Casper's being all the rumours, which are just rumours. I get that. Casper leaving, Fofana real bids, Maddison real bids. Yuri's been this on-off what's going on all season debate, and then I come to the fact that we literally have not signed one player. We've lost Lookman from last year, Tom, who was an attacking threat, and we've put Dennis Pratt in there. So again, if the team was exactly the same as last year but lost Lookman and got Dennis Pratt in, we're more defensive than last year, and we've only got 3-4 striking options there because we've lost Lookman. Why did we not sign Lookman? Why have we not replaced him? Why have we've got one winger?
I think we haven't replaced anyone because we're not. Everyone keeps saying this word skint. It's doing my head in now. We are not skint. What we're at a point in our wage structure where we can't afford to keep putting players on a wage bill, because then we will be financially in a mess, to be honest, yeah, and we will break probably all the financial fair play rules by doing it. So I think the club know quite simply, and if you listen to what Rodgers said, we've got to move players out to bring players in because of the structure of the football club. And Rodgers said, I respect that. I respect what the club do and how they are run, because we don't leave ourselves home to get into a situation where things went dramatically wrong, that we went, back down to the Championship, that the club are in a financial mess. The talk of Casper leaving, it frees up 130,000 a week on wages, mate. That is a lot of money. That is a lot of money they can then go out and probably buy 1 or 2 players and offer them 40 to 50 million each, 40 to 50,000 a week each, and still then be within the structure of the wage cap for the football club. But there will be a wage cap because the club will have to be run with a wage cap. They can't not run it. So that's the reason why we haven't gone out and signed anyone for me. And I think it's been quite clear from the club. We've got to get players out before we in. Players to go. Casper leaves, that frees up 130. Vestergaard goes, that frees up another 50 to 70 million thousand. They're talking, 50, 70,000. They're talking a week. That puts a 200,000 a week better off for the transfer market. You then probably can go out and possibly get Lookman, but I think he will be gone by the time that comes. It gives you option then to look at another goalkeeper coming in. You're not going to bring a goalkeeper and putting on the same money as Casper. Casper is up there because he's a senior member of the squad, but you can bring a goalkeeper in and offer him 50 to 80 per 1,000 a week, what is a massive wage for any goalkeeper coming in the Premier League. So it will free things up, and I do think if Casper go, the club will be looking. I generally don't think they'll leave it like it is. I think they will be looking for someone to come into that number 1 shirt, unless Rodgers feels it's there. But for me, it will be all right. I really am optimistic. I don't know why this year. I've just got a feeling All these little things, you go boost that squad together and bring them even more closer than they were before, mate. And I think the squad togetherness is massive.
And Nick Moore says here, how many times we have 28 players for a 25-man squad? I know that, Nick. I know that. But is that 28, 25-man squad good enough? And if you lose Casper, and if you lose, I genuinely, I mean, Tom, maybe I'm not being negative. I'm worried and panicking about all the rumours that are of Leicester players leaving, and there's 4 or 5 being rumoured to be going. If 2 of them were to go, and that's Casper and Yuri Telemans or Madison or Fofana, maybe one of these big players.
Okay, so Casper goes and a big player goes. Okay, yeah. So that then frees you up Casper's wage, and that frees you up 90 million if you get for one of them. That's 90 million you then go out and spend and strengthen the squad. What I can guarantee will happen.
Who's left, Tom, to buy?
Huh?
Who's left at this stage?
There's going to be, they're going to have some targets still out there, mate. There's still players that we've been linked with in France that haven't gone anywhere. You know, there's still players out there, but it also frees the market up. There's somewhere in England there might be a player that we might go sniffing at who we think can go and do a job. You know, it's one of those. Yes, it's been left right. Lee strikes again, fail squad with every player. I completely agree. Lee did nothing to support. He did nothing for this football club. He didn't bring anything that's really stood out. Wow. I will stand by what I said before. I think Daka and Boubakary Samari will come good. I've seen enough in Samari pre-season. I'm very optimistic about a good season in him. And I've always said Daka is going to take time. But again, I see enough of him to really go well. Vesta, well, I like Vestergaard. I understand the theory of buying him because he's a ball-playing centre defender. He can play from the back. The weak point is, like I said, he can't turn, he can't sprint, he can't run. So unless he's got someone around him or you're playing 3 at the back to cover his lack of pace, he gets caught out every single time. Anything with a high ball and it goes over him, you know the team are in because he can't get back. There's no recovery. So he doesn't suit Brendan's style of press. He suits it when we got the ball, but when we have to press teams, if he gets caught in the wrong position, he's out of position and we're caught in the back. So for me, I'd rather keep Sahinchi there, who can do the job when we've seen it at times, or Daniel Amad, who can fill in there, and probably move on Vestergaard as quick as we can and then replace him with someone.
Mahad says here, Rodgers' tactics can't be excused this season. He needs to be willing to change. He won't, Mahad. You know that. I know that. Tom, you know that.
He has changed his tactics. He's changed his tactics. He's changed the shape. He's changed how we push higher up the park. Those are all tactical decisions that Brendan and the squad have talked about. He's talked about and how he wants to bring the fullbacks into the middle of the park when we have the ball. Instead of them being wide as like overloads on the width, he wants to bring them in. So it means that the overloads in the middle of the park, that when we do have to press quickly, we can all press high and get in there. And when we do have the ball, and instead of like on the halfway line, you're looking at Dewsbury Hall or Tillerman sitting there with the ball waiting for someone to move. Those 2 players are higher up the pitch, sitting in behind Madison. It means Madison's another 5-10 feet further up the pitch. It means your wingers are further up the pitch, and you're pushing teams backwards quicker because teams are going to have to react to that. So to say he's not changing, he is changing. You won't see it in shape. I'll say that now, that it'll be a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1, whatever he plays. But you'll see there's a difference in tactics that he's doing with his fullbacks. He's talked about it, and I've seen it in the 3 pre-season games, what they're trying to do. So there is a change in tactic, and there is a change of how we are going to get the ball forward quicker and move it.
Nick says here, we have half the team missing at some point last season. We finished 8th. Phil, give your head a wobble, which I will do. You're sounding like a Derby fan. We'll be fine. Top 10 finish. Listen, Nick, I am so positive and optimistic. I might not sound it because at the moment, there are too many bits that are just making me panic and worry about this. The first 8 or 9 games, I'm looking at those 8 or 9 games to the Forest game at home, and I go, there's a couple in there we should definitely win, Tom.
Oh,
Brentford, Southampton. There's 2 or 3 or 4 in there where you go, well, maybe, and there's 2 or 3 in there which would be pretty tough as well. It's going to be a very interesting start in there. Joe says, what position would you take next season? Let's end on this one, Tom. What position would you take next season, and what position do you think will be, Tom? I want your take on that.
7th and 7th.
So you think
We'll get European
we'll finish
football.
7th?
We'll get the Europa Conference. I guarantee it. I think we'll probably finish a little higher that if we can, but I would take 7th, and I think we'll finish 7th. I think the teams above us maybe have strengthened a bit more than we have. You've got to look at the Man U. They've got a new manager in who I think is a very good manager. I think you've seen by some of their pre-season games they're going to play a completely different type of football, and teams are going to have to work them out. I think you look at Tottenham; they've made some quality signs, and they'll be hard to catch this year. It's between us and West Ham for me. Once again, he'll be fighting out for that 7th and 6th spot, maybe 8th. But for me, 7th, definitely. I don't see why we can't. What have I been smoking, fella?
Tom, you just
happy water.
You just sort of said it in what you were saying there. You were saying it's going to be interesting because those 7 teams who finished above us last season have all strengthened.
Yeah, but
you've just said it. Those 7 teams have all strengthened.
Casper, if he goes, that's still that squad of players. 2
that
seasons
finished
in a row,
8th.
But 2 seasons in a row before that got in the top 5. Last
summer West Ham strengthened and got better. Yeah. So this season when they've strengthened again,
you couldn't have taken it a week before the season started, mate, that we were going to lose our best centre half, who's a kid. Let's not get it wrong. He's a kid.
You can't. Yeah,
you can't turn around and take a play and go through that team and went, well, we didn't start the season with Johnny Evans for the first 8 games. Wesley Fofana was out till April or till February. Tillemans was in and out. Maddison didn't start flying till March. He was in and out with injuries. Vardy was in and out of the squad with injuries. You can't take that many players in and out of a team, get a consistent team together, and expect to be, challenging for the top 5, top 7. To finish 8th, where we did at the end of the season with the injuries we had, and they're not excusing, they are realistic facts. We had injuries. I still think wasn't a bad season towards the end. I think if we hadn't had the injuries, and if we had cut out half the goals we conceded from corners, what we never really got a grip with, again, down to consistency of people being picked in that back line and injuries, this, that, and the other, we probably would have been in the top 6. Because if you take half their goals out, you would be easily in the top 6. We missed out by 2 points to West Ham. So we're not that far adrift from what West Ham were, and they haven't signed really anyone. I think they've signed 1 player. So it's going to be an interesting one. I know Phil's hating this because I'm so optimistic. He's not hating it, but he knows me. I'm honest with you. I just feel going into this season, even with Casper going, what will be a massive blow, I still feel with the players we've got, we still can be in that top 7 for me.
It's going to be such an exciting... Do you know what, Tom? It's going to be exciting even this week. Now, listen, Tom, I think you're hosting this season for us an away fan interview show every week. Is that right?
I will be. Probably won't be doing this Thursday because obviously my holiday plans have changed now and I'm going away on Thursday instead of...
there you go. Well, somebody will be. I believe we've got...
Natalie Sawyer's apparently from Sky Sports and Talk Sports. So
yeah,
that might be one we want to maybe you want to jump on that one.
Yeah, I think I'll be putting my name in the hat for that interview. I'm surprised Jamie from the Fox's Arms isn't. He normally keeps Natalie Sawyer all to himself.
We'll be doing a show live. Well, it'll be a show going out live on a Thursday night, 7:30 as always, an away fan show. We'll talk to the opposition before a home and away game, and we'll be getting the lowdown of their season so far and their transfer windows probably at the beginning and how they're doing throughout the season.
Tom is super optimistic, super confident. I guess we're the 2 sides of Leicester fans at the moment. I'm positive, but I'm also. I just think the next couple of weeks, Tom, if we have this debate in a couple of weeks and a couple more of those players have gone, I think we'll be. I don't want to be saying I told you so.
Might have completely changed them, but yeah, I look at it where we're at now and where we could be. Generally feel like you say, well, that window was shut on the 1st of is it the 1st of September? What the day
1st of September?
The day we play Manchester United at home, and we'll all be standing there after the game with big smiles on their faces, and Fofana, Maddison, and Tillemans will be standing on that pitch still.
Stephen says, well done, Tom. Positivity. Agu says, we just can't get raided a week into the new season. Come on, I feel like we're about to get absolutely raided. I am in there. Ivan says you're living in hope, Phil. I'm always living in hope. Listen, if it's one thing being a Leicester fan, Tom, we can all live in a bit of hope, can't we? Tom, thanks so much for joining us. I'll see you at the match on Sunday if I don't see you before. Cheers for joining us.
No problem. Cheers all.
Thanks so much to Tom, absolute legend as ever, and great to have his positivity in there. Listen, I'm normally so positive. I've just got this feeling. Everybody keeps telling me, Maddison's won't go, Fofana won't go, Casper won't go, Yuri's not going to go. They love Leicester. They're all going to stay, and I'm like, I think money talks some days, and I think sometimes, Adamski says here, the vultures are circling. I get that. Fofana, real bids. Maddison, real bids. Casper, we're hearing going. These are real things that are happening. Make one bid, there's every chance they come back with a bigger bid until it's the thing. The vultures are circling probably sums up how I absolutely feel at the moment. And Giannis says we are vulnerable at the moment. Again, Ivan is really Mr. Doom. They're all going. I'm not that far, but I think one or two might go, Ivan. Listen, anyway, thanks as ever for everybody for all the comments. Join us live every Monday. If you're watching this on playback, do come join us live every Monday at 7:30. It was great to see us beat Seville yesterday. Obviously, it's nothing compared to what's going to lead up to the Brentford game. We've got an away fan show on Thursday with Natalie Sawyer, who's obviously a big Brentford fan. Reedy is live on Friday, and Jamie will be doing a match preview show, the Aftermath preview show, on Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. It's going to be an exciting week, an exciting season. Who on earth knows what is going to happen this year for Leicester City? We all think differently, but that's what makes it fan to fan chat. We just have our views. I'm going for a lie down. I can't even look at Twitter. See you later.
Thanks for watching Leicester Fan TV. Thanks to our sponsors, ADT Taxis, Everards, Pukka Pies, Pink Car Leasing, Leicester Riders, Hollogram, The Fox's Arms, Peter's Pizzeria, Hope Against Cancer, and Newby Co estate agents. Make sure to follow us on all of our social channels at Leicester Fan TV. Visit our website, leicesterfantv.com.